Hello everyone, welcome to Naan Bhai. This is me Ankita and today we are going to make a gluten-free fruit tart. So talking a little about the fruit tart, I'm going to be using a gluten-free flour for this tart because I'm making a gluten-free tart, and along with that, instead of white sugar, I'm going to be using light brown sugar. It just gives a better color, and I'm using powdered sugar as well. So first what I'm going to do is sift my flour, the two sugars and my salt together nicely so it's a nice homogeneous mixture. Then I'm going to put it in my mixing bowl and mix it for just like about 30 seconds so it's nicely mixed in. And then I'm going to slowly start adding my butters. Now about the butter, just cut it in these small sized cubes and make sure that it sits in the fridge for as long as possible. The butter has to be really cold before we add it to our flour mixture. It has to be very cold, right out of the refrigerator. And when we add the butter, what we're looking for is we kind of break the butter in small pieces. So ultimately, the flour and the butter together, it looks like, like sand, like it has a sandy texture. And after that, we are going to add our egg and vanilla. And even then, if the dough has not come together, we might use a little bit of water. So 1 tablespoon at a time. So let's take a look at what we are going to need today to make our tart. So I'm going to start by putting my dry ingredients through a sieve. My flour, brown sugar, powdered sugar and salt. So now I'm going to put this flour and sugar mixture into my mixing bowl and start mixing it before I add my butter. This looks properly mixed in, all my sugars, my salt, my flour. It looks nice and homogeneous. So I'm going to start adding my cold butter, 1 cube at a time. Just try to make this quick because we don't want our butter to start melting. Okay, so this is what it should look like. I mean, if you touch it, it's like sand. We're looking for a sandy texture. So just 30 more seconds and then we can start adding our egg yolk and vanilla. Okay, now this is good to go. I'm going to add my egg yolk and vanilla. Mix it up. What we're trying to do here is just bring our dough together. So just make sure that you don't add too much water since we don't want a very sticky dough. So I think if I bring it on my workstation, this should come together now. It is holding its shape and not crumbling. So I will not add more water. And just bring it together. So I'm going to leave my dough in the fridge for about an hour and then I will start rolling it and putting it in my tart pan. For our pastry cream, we are going to need pastry cream. It just seems a little intimidating at the beginning, but actually pastry cream is pretty easy to make. You just have to exactly follow the steps as it is and it's very straightforward. So let's start the process. First I'm going to put my cream and my milk in this pan. Milk and my vanilla paste. Give it a little stir. In the meantime, what I'm also going to do is take a clean bowl, and the reason I'm taking a slightly bigger size bowl is because when I'm going to add milk, I'm going to need some space. You don't need a small bowl and then everything just spills out. My egg yolks, sugar, cornstarch, and my salt. I'm going to whisk it out. So this is what it's going to look like. And I'm going to start heating up my milk and cream, and then we pour it in this and then cook everything together. Okay, so now I'm heating up my milk, cream and my vanilla bean paste. Just don't let it come to a boil. You just want it really hot, but not boiling hot. So I do see bubbles on the side, which means it is quite hot. So I'm going to remove my milk and my cream from the heat. So I'm going to add my milk to this just a little bit first. You don't want to add too much of this together and shock. Now I'm not going to keep whisking it because it will cool down if I whisk it too much. So if you see egg yolk lumps at this stage, you can strain it again before you put it in your pan. I don't see any lumps, so I'm just going to directly put this in my pan again and then cook my pastry cream. So I'm going to start cooking this on medium-high heat. Don't try to cook your pastry cream on very high heat. It does tend to burn very easily, especially now that we have added our egg yolks. So let's go back there and heat up our mixture and make pastry cream. So now at this stage, I'm going to be stirring my mixture continuously because we are at a risk where it can burn at the bottom. So I'm going to continuously stir my pastry cream. So this looks done. So now after taking off the heat, I'm going to take it out in the pan so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to add my butter, which I've cut in cubes. Again, the butter has to be cold and not room temperature. Just whisk it in. So after whisking in my butter, we have a pastry cream. Now what I'm going to do is cover it up with plastic and keep it in the fridge for it to cool down completely before I pipe it into my tart shell. So my dough has been sitting in the fridge for about an hour and I'm going to start rolling it. I have some flour here to dust on my surface. I have my tart pan here and I'm using this rolling pin. So this is my 9-inch tart pan. Now I am going to cut my sides, but again I will let it chill in the fridge for just about 15 minutes before cutting my sides off. And once I cut my sides, again I'm going to leave it in the fridge for another 20 minutes till it's very cold before I put it in the oven. Reason being, because if the dough isn't cold enough and you put it in the oven, your shell is going to shrink when it gets baked. So if you want the same size that you've put in here, you probably want to make sure that your dough is really cold before you put it in the oven. So it's been sitting in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes and I'm just going to trim off the sides. So I've trimmed my sides and they look great. So this is ready to go in the fridge for another 20 minutes and then we're going to bake our tart. So the tart has been sitting in the fridge for about an hour and I have preheated my oven to 325 Fahrenheit, which is also about 162 degrees Celsius. So before I put my tart, I'm just going to take a fork and poke holes in my tart, because if you don't poke holes, all the air from the butter is going to rise and it's going to rise like a balloon, which we don't want. So I'm going to poke holes and then I'm going to put this parchment on top and fill up my tart with beans. So I'm going to put this for about 25 minutes, remove my beans and the parchment and then bake it again for another 15 to 20 minutes till I get the color that I'm looking for. So I've baked my tart. It's baked and ready. I've taken it out of my mold. So now this tart shell is nice and cool. I'm going to start putting my pastry cream in it and then I decorate it with fruits. So I have put my pastry cream into my tart, and I put my tart on a cake board because I don't want to keep handling it with my bare hands, and that's going to, I don't want it to break. And I have some fruits here that I'm going to be decorating my tart with. So I have apples which are sliced like this, and I have some kiwi fruit which also I've sliced like this in half, and I have some strawberries that I have cut lengthwise, and I have some raspberries and I have some blueberries. So let's start. So this is what the final tart looks like after I put all the fruits on it. And you can slice your fruits, you can chop your fruits, you can cut them in slightly bigger pieces, any way you like it. Now the last thing that I'm going to do with the tart is just glaze it up with piping gel, because I want the fruits to have a nice shine on them. It just looks very pretty. So I'm just going to glaze my tart and then it's ready to go. So I have some piping gel here that I put a few drops of water in it just to get this consistency so it can spread nicely on my fruits. So this is what the final tart looks like. I've glazed my fruits. It's nice and shiny and pretty. So do try this recipe out. It's a wonderful recipe. Mention in the comments if you have any questions and queries, or even share your pictures that you make. I would love to see them. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.